All right, let's get into this. We've managed to get our hands on a really strange communication. I mean, it reads less like a corporate memo and more like a secret military dispatch from some high stakes operation. So we're going to decrypt it.
I mean, it starts with commands like this. Super urgent, no room for excuses. You feel like you've just intercepted a transmission from a command bunker deep behind enemy lines. The pressure's on and failure, not an option.
But here's the twist. This isn't about some secret war. This whole system, this personal doctrine, was created by an engineer to survive the insane pressures of the modern corporate world. And we're about to decode the whole thing.
So, welcome to the DevOps Time Room. The source of all this intense language? It's the mind of a DevOps engineer. And if you're not familiar, it's a role where your entire job can feel like one constant, high-stakes emergency, just trying to keep these massive, complex digital systems from falling apart.
Yeah, being on call means you're it. You are the last line of defense. When that pager goes off at 3 a.m. because something broke, you're the one sitting alone in the dark trying to piece it back together. It's a feeling a lot of us can relate to, right? Being the one person who has to fix it when it all goes wrong. That specific kind of lonely pressure is the key to understanding everything that comes next.
So this engineer was getting squeezed from 3 different directions. It wasn't just about fixing bugs. It was visibility friction, that feeling when you share an idea and suddenly everyone has a problem with it. Then there's compression, being forced to deliver huge results on these impossible deadlines. And finally, this identity shift, going from someone who just builds things quietly to being the public face of a system. This is the pressure cooker that created this whole new way of thinking. So, to deal with all this, to survive, he built his own personal doctrine, a set of rules for operating under all that heat. He called it the Prismo Protocol, and get this, it was written in code.
And to understand how this whole thing actually works, how it helps someone survive, we have to crack that code first. We need the encryption key. And this is just the most brilliant part. The entire secret language, this whole framework he built to handle the stress and complexity of a high-pressure tech job, was built on the world and the mythology of the cartoon Adventure Time. I'm not kidding.
So the cornerstone, the one mapping that unlocks everything else, was taking his real-life senior mentor, a guy named Kant, and turning him into the character Prismo, a cosmic, all-powerful being in the show who lives outside of time and can grant wishes. That one connection was the key that turned the lock. Okay, so now that we have the key, let's look at the full Rosetta Stone. This is how an entire, stressful corporate reality was translated piece by piece into this wild, cosmic, animated universe. This is just fantastic. On the left, you've got the cartoon characters. On the right, the real world. So the interface you use to deploy code, that's Prismo's wish room. And when you have to roll back a system to a previous, stable version, that's not a rollback state. That's a sleeping Jake, ready to wake up and regenerate the world. And the best one, technical debt. All those little shortcuts and messy bits of code that build up over time and threaten to bring everything crashing down, well, that becomes the ultimate villain, the Lich. So this brings us to the big question, right? Why? Why go through all this trouble? Why create this elaborate fantasy world instead of just, using Jira tickets and company wikis like a normal person?
Because this wasn't a game. It was an engineered tool for survival, plain and simple. The mythology made that lonely on-call feeling a feature of a cosmic role, not a personal failing. It took overwhelming complexity and squished it down into simple, memorable stories. And it made sure that all that crucial hard-won wisdom didn't just walk out the door when someone quit. It was encoded into a story that could be passed on. And this comparison on the screen just lays it all out. The standard corporate path on the right, it's all about assigning blame and tickets, losing context in wikis that no one reads, and just burning people out. But the mythologized path on the left, it actually protects the person doing the work. It preserves not just the knowledge, but also the sanity and the humanity of the engineer. And here's the crucial insight. A story isn't just fluff. Narrative is a technology. It's an incredibly powerful and efficient format for storing complex, layered information, both the cold, hard technical facts of a system and the very real human cost of keeping it running. So if this whole mythology is the operating system, what's the killer app? What's the main program it's designed to run? Well, it all boils down to one central idea, a massive bias for action, for getting things done, for shipping the work.
At the very heart of this entire philosophy is this number, 72, a 72-hour window. An intense, focused sprint where the only thing that matters is execution. No more planning meetings, no more tweaking, just finishing.
So how do you actually turn all that internal wisdom into something real, something that lasts? Well, it's a 3-step process. First, you select one core idea to focus on. Then, you convert your messy notes and private thoughts into clean public artifacts like essays or diagrams. And finally, you expose that work to the world, not to start a fight, but just to calmly articulate your point of view. And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. This is the mic drop. Real clarity, real purpose, real alignment in a team, it doesn't come from endless meetings and planning sessions. It's the result of actually finishing something and putting it out there. You ship to find alignment, not the other way around.
So all of this leaves us with one last question to think about. This engineer used a cartoon to build a powerful system to survive his reality. Which makes you wonder, what are the stories, the codes, the private mythologies that you're building, whether you know it or not, to make sense of your own world?